Hi, welcome to the podcast by Dr. Sushma Singh. Let us start conversation on Unit 16, Education in Europe, Case Studies 2. And we are continuing our topic, Education in Europe, and our country is Bulgaria. The Bulgarian educational system has rich history. The Bulgarian people have established and preserved deep-seated and intrinsic educational system throughout their 13th century existence as a state. They have maintained and developed the Cyrillic alphabet created by the Kirill and Methodius brothers as early as the 19th century and reached the golden age of Bulgarian literature and culture. In the 10th century, when Clement Osrediki established the first Bulgarian school, Bulgarian people have preserved their love for learning and education through the years of Ottoman rule. Cell schools were established in the 18th and 19th century, which were either monastery schools or public schools, where the nature of the former was predominantly religious, and public schools provided pupils with secular knowledge. Public schools were established on a large scale at the end of the 18th century and especially in the 30s and 40s of the 19th century, known as New Bulgarian schools, which were described in details in the records of the schools in Samokov, Kopovishka, etc. The state educational system was established after 1978, which was also the time when the first school laws were dated. The first educational law, provisional bylaws of public community centers, was adopted in August 1978, and Elementary School Act in Eastern Rumelia was adopted in December 1880 and promulgated in February 1881. The above laws recognized in democratic principles applied to school establishment and running. At the end of the 19th century and the beginning of the 20th century, the educational system underwent rapid development. During the period 1990 to 2004, a number of democratic changes have been brought about both in society as a whole and in the educational system in particular. A new Education Act was adopted 1991, which is still in force in the educational system, and Bulgarian legislation underwent serious changes. School education in the Republic of Bulgaria is compulsory up to the age of 16. It brings at the age of 7 when children are enrolled as first grade pupils. Children at the age of 6 can also be enrolled as first grade pupils if their physical and mental behavior in the judgment of their parents and or trustees allow it. Since the 2003 and 4 school year, children's training in preparatory groups with kindergartens or preparatory classes to schools has become compulsory, as their parents or trustees are exempt from payment of fees. The compulsory education up to the age of 16 may be completed in a private school which has been established pursuant to the National Education Act and is authorized to issue valid certificates for completed class or acquired professional qualification, as well as diplomas for completed secondary education. The student has the right to complete his education in a state, municipal, or private school chosen by him. By the age of 16, he is obliged to study in any of the various types of schools, private included. Higher education in Bulgaria originated in the late 19th century after the liberation of Bulgaria from Ottoman yoke in order to satisfy the cultural, economic, and political necessities of the young state. The first Bulgarian university was opened in Sofia with the priorities in supplying the legal system, the state administration, and the schools with qualified specialists. The old university in Bulgaria started its activities with three facilities: faculty of law, physical and mathematical faculty, and historical and philosophical faculty. The deep social and economic transformations in the country inevitably had their impact on education as a whole, and in particular on higher education. This transition is related to creation of private higher education, introduction of new subjects and areas of knowledge, taking into account the necessities of society, opening of higher schools to international partnership and cooperation with European universities and institutions, reinstatement of university autonomy, limited financial independence, and high responsibility for the quality of educational services offered. By signing the Bologna Declaration 1999, Bulgaria takes the challenge to participate actively in the building of a European higher education area and a common European market of labor and research. At present, this network includes 51 public higher schools, of them 42 universities and specialized higher schools, 41 colleges within the structure of the higher schools, and 9 independent colleges. Here we wind up this conversation, and thank you so much for choosing this podcast.